So apparently, Microsoft plans on cutting more jobs, as if they didn't do so enough back in January when they decided to cut like roughly under 2,000 jobs within their gaming division. it seems like it seems like this is a trend that's going to continue on until I guess the mid 2020s, like 2025, 2026. And honestly, this is something that's not too surprising because we all know that Microsoft made that large acquisition for 69 billion in terms of purchasing Activision Blizzard. And even though like Microsoft gained a ton of revenue from that, the games they've been putting out since then have been misses for the most part, and people have not been interested in it for the most part. And I do feel that, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 being a flop, people not being interested in some of their more, recent IPs they've been trying to push is something that has had an effect on their declining revenue. I know Overwatch 2 came out not too long ago, and the launch was disastrous. People say it's okay now, but for the most part, I don't see it getting any mainstream attention or anything like that. We do know that recently, like it was revealed that a Crash Bandicoot 5 game that was in the works had been canceled like a while back, and a lot of people are still questioning what the fate of that particular franchise is going to be in the future. And um and yeah, it's like I feel like there's just a decline in the gaming industry overall because it seemed like, stock prices are plummeting. It seems like people are losing interest in gaming. It seems like the cost of gaming in general is dramatically skyrocketing. And that's something that we all learned the other day when Sony revealed the PlayStation 5 Pro, which was like $700, which is completely obscene considering the fact that there was no disk drive and they didn't even have a stand or anything like that. So you would have to basically buy games digitally, and it was never mentioned whether or not you can transfer video games from your PS5 to the PlayStation 5 Pro once it becomes available. And I think those are things, along with like microtransactions and stuff like that, that's driving people away from gaming for the most part. And honestly, I feel like this is a trend that's going to continue, not with just Microsoft, but with various other gaming entities like Electronic Arts and Sony Interactive Entertainment, and all those other entities like Ubisoft. And speaking of which, Electronic Arts and Sony Interactive had they laid off more than 1,000 people between like spring of last year and now, and that's honestly a really grim sign in terms of where things are going. But at the same time, if you ask like some of the higher ups, the executives or the CEO, they'll just tell you that it's just the companies, restructuring their staff and coming up with a new strategy on how to bring in more revenue and to draw more interest within their consumer base or whatever. But honestly, we all know the truth. We all know that gaming for the most part is something that's it's kind of stale right now. It's something that a lot of people aren't really talking too much about. And of course, you have that one game or whatever that trends on social media because it's a sequel to an older game that was popular back in like the teens or the 2000s, or it's a remake of something old or what have you. But it seems like the only things that get like mainstream attention for the most part are older IPs, if they're remakes or if they're like a sequel to something that people want to see for quite some time. And and I do feel that because of that, um, Microsoft has not really been getting a lot of mainstream attention in terms of having video games that people are like really really interested in. I will say that people are talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 6, a game that's supposed to be coming out pretty soon before the end of 2024. The campaign looks very interesting, the story looks very interesting. I do feel that the multiplayer game mode, or whatever gameplay modes they have in that, is going to be the thing that really determines how how good the game itself is in terms of quality and replay value and all that stuff. Because like if the campaign is bad and you don't have a solid multiplayer game mode, whether it's online or offline, then it's not going to have any lasting value for the most part. And the thing is, people are really pissed off at Activision as it is for what they did, canceling the Call of Duty 2009 remake mod done by H2M, not too long ago. And I believe they got the cease and desist letter right before the day that it was supposed to be released, which was like August 15th or August 16th. So, so yeah, I mean, like right now, it doesn't look too good for Microsoft. They're probably preparing for the worst by cutting, gaming jobs. And I read that a lot of the gaming jobs that are being cut are mostly corporate and support roles. And honestly, that's something that's not really too surprising because it seems like AI is taking over, and you can have AI do like mostly like corporate stuff and and pretty much do like support roles and all that. And the thing with AI, that's another thing that's that's dramatically changing gaming because we have another SAG after strike that's going on, and we had one that just ended, I believe, last year, and then like another one's going on. It's not as big as the last one, but it's still a big deal regardless. And and it seems like AI might be taking over gaming, and there's always that fear that like new video games are not going to have the type of like soul and emotion that the older ones had. But I think we're well past that point right now because it seems like um, gaming developers, for the most part, in relation to making modern games, they really don't give a damn. Everything is just a money grab. We get unfinished games that are just out there, and then you have to pay for more DLC, and it's riddled with microtransactions and all that stuff. It's like gaming is not what it used to be. A lot of people look to the classics, but but yeah, it doesn't necessarily surprise me that Microsoft is cutting more jobs in the future, and and yeah, I don't think Microsoft will be making another video game console after the Xbox Series X because it seems like they haven't been able to keep up with Nintendo or Sony in relation to hardware sales in relation to game consoles, and because of that, I do feel that it's mainly going to be a console war between Sony and Nintendo for the most part because at this point it seemed like Xbox is kind of like a third party video game producer, and or it might become that in the future for the most part. And there's always been talk that Microsoft plans on moving on to cloud-based gaming, but that's something that hasn't really been explained in depth, at least not to my knowledge or anything like that. But obviously, Microsoft is restructuring um, their corporation, and they're trying to find ways to make ends meet during a tough time period in relation to the economy. But I do feel that this is not going to be the last that we hear about Microsoft cutting jobs. And for those who are still working at that place, you should probably be looking over your shoulders and be prepared for more cuts in the future.